Hello everybody, welcome back to HardReset.Info channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you the first things to do after setup on your VIVO X300. So first, what we want to do is after setup, as you guys can see, we will have this welcome screen. We're going to click on enter OriginOS and it will load everything up. Now, let me quickly change the brightness for you guys. Let me try and do that. Now, as you guys can see, here we have our phone. Now, what we want to do first with it is we want to go over and set up our Wi-Fi. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the settings, and now in the settings we want to go to the Wi-Fi and here enable it. Now here we have the nearby networks. So here we have every single network that our phone has detected, and all we have to do is choose our network. So for me it'll be this one, and now all we have to do is enter the password. So I'll quickly do that off camera and I'll see you guys in a second. So now let's click on the check mark right here. Now we are connected to the network, and what we can do next is check for software updates to make sure that we run our new phone with the latest software. So scroll down until you see system update almost at the bottom, and as you guys can see, I already have the latest system version, which is OriginOS 6, and it's based on the Android 16. So now we can leave the settings, and what we're going to do next is add our Google account and update the apps via the Play Store. So let's open up the Play Store, and here we're gonna log into our Google account. So now all we have to do is wait for it to update the Google apps. We can also cancel the updates, but we want to update everything on the phone, so it might take a second, and I'll see you guys in one. After the updates, what you guys can do is click on sign in right here, and if the Play Store crashes during the process of logging in, then it's totally normal, and it won't crash after the login, but it can crash right here. So what we're going to do now is enter our email, and after entering our email, we're going to enter our password. So now let's click on the next button here, and as you guys can see, it will log us in. Then we all we have to do is enter the password. So I'll see you guys in a second. Now, as you guys can see, here we have our password. Let's click next, and here you will select who will be using this device. So in my case, I will use the first option, but if you set up this device for your child, then use this one. Now the steps here may actually vary, but they won't be much different. So let's click next. Here you just have to agree to the terms of service, and now Google services will load up. So this is the part where most of the phones start crashing. So here we need to make sure that we enable backup device data. Click on accept, and as you guys can see, we went through without any crashes. Now here we can verify our purchase instantly. So I'll use the password for this one, and I'll see you guys in another second. Now let's just click done, and we will be in the main page of the Google Play. Now let's click on our avatar to update our apps. Go to my apps and games, and as you guys can see, we have 27 updates pending. So let's click on see details. Here we have every single app that we can update. Now just click on update all, and you can leave the Play Store for now. It will do itself the downloading, the updating in the background. So now what we want to do is we want to make our phone secure. So we're going to set up the screen lock, and we're going to do that in the settings right here. Now, as you guys can see, this is the main page, and all we have to do is go to security and privacy. Now select device unlocking, and here we have our screen lock. Here, let's select either PIN, pattern, or strong password, because the swipe is the current one, and as you guys can see, the swipe does nothing. So I always use the PIN one. As you guys can see, it must be at least 4 digits, but 6 are recommended for the added security. because 6 digits are way harder to guess. So as you guys can see here, you guys can show your password, you guys can hide it to make sure that you put the same password in. Now I will go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So make sure to not copy my PIN, because this PIN is very easy to guess even though it's 6 digits. And I would recommend you guys creating your own one. So you can just do that for an example. And this PIN will be very hard to guess because nobody's just gonna click 957426. So this is how you guys can create your PIN code. Then let's click on next. And as you guys can see, this password is simple and easy to guess, and I'll click on continue. But if you see it, if you enter any other password than that, then you need to change it. Now let's enter the PIN again and click on OK. And as you guys can see, now we have our screen lock set up. So here in the screen lock settings, we have the lock screen timeout, so the lock after screen timeout. So you guys can do that immediately, 5 seconds, 15, 30, and up to 30 minutes. Here, press power button to lock. And now here we have our fingerprint, so we're gonna do just that. Let's enter our password, click on OK. And we're gonna use the fingerprint for unlocking the phone. You guys can also use that for the privacy password, but we'll get back to that later. So now let's click on Enroll now and click on Got It. Now place your finger and slowly move it around. So here we have our fingerprint area where we have this fingerprint and that goes yellow. So now we need to place our finger slowly and we need to move it around to make sure that we cover every single edge of it. So now our fingerprint has been registered. What can we do to test that is lock our phone and use our finger to unlock it. Now, as the last resort, we have the face right here. Let's enter the password, click on OK. And we're gonna also use the face for unlocking our phone. You guys can only use that for privacy password. It's totally up to you, but I always use my face for unlocking it. Now, let's click on Enroll now. And now we need to align our face in the frame right here. So we need to look straight into the camera. I'll quickly do that off camera and I'll see you guys in a second. This process takes less than 15 seconds to complete it. Now, as you guys can see, the enrollment has been completed. Let's click on OK. And now we can use our face to unlock the phone. So as you guys can see, I did not click it. The fingerprint scanner is here and I did not enter my PIN. So now we know that we have unlocked our phone using our face. I'll use the finger now. And we can also use the PIN code. So everything has been set up. Now what can we do after that is go back to the Play Store, and as you guys can see, our updates are done. So every single app is up to date. Now we're gonna go over to search and we're gonna search up for the Google Wallet. Now, as you guys can see, we have the app right here. We're gonna install it. And you need to make sure that you ignore the sponsored ones. Now, after that, let's just open up the app. It will choose an account to use with Google automatically. And now let's click on View Wallet. Click on Allow to send us notifications. And as you guys can see here, it already prompts me to set up the card that I used on this account. And you guys can add a different card, set up this card right here. And here we have the passes, the loyalty programs, and everything. It's dependent on the region. So if you do not have the same ones as me, then it's completely normal. And now we can click on plus here. We can add the payment card, transport pass, loyalty card, gift card, and a photo. So let's click on payment card. And here you guys can use an account, use the card that you used on the account, or you guys can add the new credit or debit card. So as you guys can see, the first option is to line it up with the frame, just like that. So here we will have our card. We just scan it with our phone. And what can we do next is enter the details manually. So we can enter the card number. So let's just put random stuff here. Now the expiry date. So for an example like that, and security code. And now you guys can just click on save and continue after entering the details. Then your card will be added and you will be able to pay with the device. So after setting up the Google Wallet, what you guys can do next is go and check the battery settings. So this is very important to do after the setup because you will know what is up in the settings. So here we need to scroll a bit down now until we see the battery, and here we click on it. As you guys can see, here we have the modes for our battery. So now it's the boost mode. As you guys can see, the performance will be improved with higher power consumption and more heat generation. So you guys can click on OK, and now our phone is boosted, but the battery will most likely run out faster. So the balance mode is the mode that we're going to use. The battery saver is the mode that we want to use to optimize our battery to the fullest. So now let's go back to the balance mode. Here we're going to start off with power saving management. So here we actually have a lot of settings, and the first one is to automatically turn on the battery saver. So let's enable it, and here we set up the percentage. I always use 25, even though for a lot of phones it's only 20, but I feel like 25 is the good option to actually start saving on your battery. So now it's set up. As you guys can see, we need to enable battery saver auto turn off. It should be enabled by default, but if it's not, then as you guys can see, enable it all. Now the battery saver auto turn off. So when our battery is above a certain level, then it will basically disable the battery saver. And here we can shorten auto lock screen time. Here we have an option to reduce our screen refresh rate. So when it's above it, then we can just reduce to 60 Hz. Now here we have the also turn on dark mode. So now let's disable it. And as you guys can see, we shouldn't have the dark mode right now, and we don't. So now let's enable it back on. And here for the super battery saver. So this is what is good about the phone. It has the super battery saver, so it's even more efficient than the normal power saving. And here we click through all of that. Now we can set the battery level from 1% to 5%. And since we put 25 instead of 20, then we can put 5 here. So the 5% of our phone will be for the battery saver and the super one. So here we have the battery life extender. As you guys can see, when the battery is running out, your phone auto enables the battery life extender service to ensure power for 4 minutes of emergency and normal calls. And it will be disabled after charging, and you have 4 minutes to use your phone before it completely runs out. Now here we have the deep app optimization. As you guys can see, we can start our optimization right here. We can start it, estimated was the 7 minutes. Now it's gonna optimize every single app that we have on our device. So it'll do itself in the background. As you guys can see, it's 10% already. Now let's wait a couple, and now it's 13. So here, the last one is the sleep standby optimization. So it will detect the sleep hours to freeze idle apps and limit network switching. So it will reduce the power use and increase the battery life. Now for the last one, we have restrict network connection, and it will only be in effect when the sleep standby optimization is working. So now let's leave the power saving management. Here we have the battery usage status. So here we have the info if the apps are consuming the battery normally, and if any app is causing more battery usage. Now for the battery health and charging, we have the maximum capacity. So 100% is like you can charge up to 100% and you can use it. But if you have, let's say 80, then you will use 80% of your battery. Now here we have the optimized battery charging. You guys can set up the charging upper limit. You guys can set it up from 70 to up to 100. But if you set it up, let's say to 80, then you will only be able to charge your phone to 80%. Now, on the other hand, if you use, let's say 70, then you can extend your battery life a lot, but you won't see the 30% of the battery. Now, you guys can enable optimize based on habits. Basically, your phone will detect whenever you're not using it, and it will try and make a schedule of when to charge up to the limit if you're not using it. So for an example, you sleep from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. and that's 6 hours of charging. Now, the phone will definitely go slow, but it would charge up at 5:59 exactly 1 minute, or at 6 when you wake up. So this is very cool. I would recommend enabling it. And here we have the other charging tips. So as you guys can see, like unplug the power supply when the battery is fully charged. It's some basic stuff right here. Now, here we have the bypass charging. As you guys can see, at above a 20% charge, prioritize power to the system and slow down power to the battery to avoid temperature increase during phone charging. So it can only be turned on when you're using a wired charger at the moment. I don't, so I cannot enable it, but it's a very cool option. I'm not using it, but it's still great that it's here. You guys can try and use it and see if you notice any difference. Now, here we have the fast charging. So your phone will definitely heat up during the fast charging, but you will get your battery faster. It also decreases the battery life a bit, but not much. So fast charging is worth enabling because you get more time you waste less time charging the phone. Now, here we have the wireless charging sensing location. So you guys can align the center of the illustration with the center of the wireless charger for a better charging experience. Now, here we can enable the reverse wireless charging and you can wirelessly charge other devices. So now, as you guys can see, we can click on Got It, and let me quickly remove the case from the phone to make sure that it's working. And now we can place it like that. I'll place an iPhone up next and show you guys that it works. So now we can place our iPhone right here, and as you guys can see, it's charging it. So that's how we know that the reverse wireless charging works. And now let me put the phone back into the case, and we're gonna go on with the settings. So now we can enable both of those options. So show charging options on lock screen. So you guys can switch the charging modes while using the original adapter only. And here we have the off-screen charging display. So you guys can keep it off, keep it on. I would recommend turning it on so you guys can see what's the charge status. Now for cycle count, it's only the number of times the battery was charged to 100%. So if you charge it, let's say to 50, so you charge 50% and then you charge another 50, then that's a cycle. Now here we have the production date, so it was the 5th of September and the first battery usage. Now let's gonna move on, and here we have the battery style and percentage. We can use it like that, as you guys can see, like horizontal, vertical, and as you guys can see, when it's not disabled, when it's disabled and it's not being displayed right up here on the status bar, then it's still displayed in the control center. So you guys can most definitely just do not display the battery. You can use any style that you like. Here you can also display it inside the battery, and it's only for the horizontal one. Now here we have the background power control, so you guys can see the controls of the apps that are in the background. Now here we have the battery usage, and we can see which app used how much percent of the battery. So that's it for the battery optimization tricks and for the video. So I hope you liked it, and if you did, then leave a like, subscription, and a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.